All right, ladies and gentlemen, if you wouldn't mind taking your seats, we'll get our second day underway, and we're going to do so in grand style and have a chance to thank the man that permitted us to have this magnificent venue for the conference, as well as the gardens below for our closing luncheon, which you will soon behold. And we couldn't be more grateful to Minister Jan Lipavský. At a time when war is raging on the continent not far from here, we're truly blessed to have a security-minded visionary like Minister Lipavský at the helm here in Prague of the Foreign Ministry. He is in the freedom business very much, and I've had the privilege to come to know him over the years. He was a esteemed graduate of our Security Scholars Program back in 2005 and the NATO Summer School that same year. But more recently, Jan has served, prior to his current august post, in the Chamber of Deputies for 4 years as Vice Chairman of the Committee on Foreign Affairs, Defense and Security. In addition, he was a member of the Standing Committee on Hybrid Threats, the Subcommittee on Defense, Cyber, and Security Policy and Strategic Concepts, and the Subcommittee for Migration and Asylum Policy. His focus was primarily, at that time, on issues of energy, international security, and hybrid threats. And we've had a chance to talk about some of the economic and financial dimensions of those threats. And there are few that have picked up on that subject faster and understood it better virtually instantly than Jan Lipavský. So there's no gaps in communication. He is an extremely gifted, fast learner. We know this. And again, we couldn't be more pleased and privileged to be in his house today. Before entering politics, Jan was in the private sector, pursuing an IT career in banking. One such place was McKinsey & Company. He graduated in International Territorial Studies at the Institute of International Studies at Charles University and spent a year at the University of Kent in the UK. And so without hesitation, I'd like to turn the floor over to our very esteemed friend and PSSI alum, and a guy who's in the right post at the right time for an embattled continent as we face some of the greatest challenges that we've seen since the Second World War. And I'd like to give the floor to Foreign Minister Jan Lipavský. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Those mentioned financial aspects are currently actually more than ever, with 6 package sanctions by the EU already approved against Russia, and with another sanctions from different sides, with one purpose: to starve Russia. Even though with current energy prices, it seems that it's still not enough. So this is a very important area. But thank you very much for a very nice introduction. I haven't ordered that, but anyway, thank you. I'm delighted. I'm delighted to welcome you all in person at the 6th PSSI Space Security Conference. The Foreign Ministry has continuously supported this high-level series since its inception in 2011, understanding the growing importance of the space domain and its security dimensions. Over the last 2 decades, the scale of space activities has changed radically. We are witnessing an expansion of existing national space programs and increasing number of countries seeking independent access to space-derived benefits and indigenous space capabilities. Czechia plays an important role in European developments around space, given that the seat of the European Union's Agency for the Space Programme is located here, and a state representative chairs the agency board. I must also mention that there is a number of Czech companies actively involved in the sector with their products. In recent years, the space environment has become far more diverse, with groundbreaking technologies and the active involvement of more countries and industry. This evolution has a positive impact on our daily lives, bringing socio-economic benefits to our citizens, as well as to key portfolios such as climate change responses, migration challenges, and security and defense. Maybe it was mentioned yesterday, maybe you know that, there is a case in Ukraine when the shot down airplane, the Russian airplane, which was manned by Wagner's mercenary. It was Sukhoi 25. And once they shot it down, they discovered that on board of this Sukhoi plane, he also had the Garmin navigation, because he didn't want to rely on Russian GLONASS system. So he used the civilian navigation to help him to steer a flight of Sukhoi 25 on military mission. So this is example of this phenomenon. So even though there's an increase in the ability of countries to use space technologies for defensive and offensive purposes, making discussion such as this conference especially critical as we seek to adjust this more uncertain and volatile geopolitical environment. You have already discussed the risks and threats to space operations, including active counter-space programs of China and Russia. We have witnessed the importance of space in the ongoing conflict in Ukraine, which brings into question a number of assumptions about the future of global space governance. We are also acutely aware of our need to compete more effectively with the authoritarian model of space partnerships, including the economic and financial domain. So, this unique and timely meeting of military, civil, and industry senior officials and experts from Europe, the US, and Japan demonstrate the strength of a unified approach to these and other challenges in space, and serve as a significant part of efforts to enhance the Czech national and partner space domain coordination in this critical portfolio. Looking into the future, I sincerely hope Prague will strengthen its position as a European space capital, and I hope to host the next PSSI Space Security Conference here in the Czerny Palace again. Thank you very much. If it's possible to take a question, let's take a question. Yeah.
Okay. Well, we have a special treat in the sense that Minister Lipavský is going to give us a little bit of time for a couple of questions. I know that he has an appointment coming up, but if we can take a little bit of his time, the floor is open for a question or two. Anybody have A thought there. Please.
Good morning, Mr. Minister. I'm Major General Mike Trout. I'm the commander of the German Space Command. I'm delighted to be here at this conference. Thank you very much for your time and hosting us over here. I would like to ask you a more or less political question in terms of how we progress in developing common space capabilities and how we develop a common picture, respectively common space domain awareness issues. I see that many countries developing own capabilities. And I see as well that we only can progress in a larger coalition of willing nations in alliances like the EU and NATO. But where would you see the balance between the question of sovereignty, strategic autonomy, independence in terms of space capabilities, and duplication of efforts? Because I think there are two sides of one coin. Where would you see the balance between that? Thank you very much.
Thank you. This is a very good question, and you partially provided key elements for my answer. So for the Czech Republic, it is the EU and ESA, which will always play a key role in our space domain. And the space is almost in everything dual use. So you have a military purpose and you have civilian use. Military use will always be connected to national strategy, to national priorities. And honestly, only those countries who are able to send a rocket to space can be thinking about to have own fully national solution, which includes today the USA, France, Russia, maybe China, maybe other countries. I don't know exactly. In the case of Czechia, we have capability to build certain parts of these great machines. We have capability to build satellite, which is today some kind of Lego you put together. You have some software, you have some use purpose to it. But definitely it would be too bold to call it a space program as such. Even though we have very important initiatives and quite a lot of people dedicated to this area. So, and for the industrial part of that, for the business part of that, for the civilian use of that, I think cooperation is absolute key. And the Czech Republic wants to be part of those supply chains to build up our startups and companies so they can provide as much as possible into those big common projects, which in the end of the day are, in my eyes, the European way. And that is too soon to be speaking about European army, but we have European we have a system of satellites for navigation, European. So those are also part of even security solutions. So cooperation, and I think the EU should be leading on that, especially in European continent. And let's be working together with our friends from the US, Japan, and other like-minded Western countries.
Any other questions? Well, not seeing a show of hands, and I know that Jan needs to push along. I would ask one question, however, concerning the war. It seems as though one of the most important pacing items of the conflict underway of course, is the delivery of advanced Western weapon systems, particularly those of the U.S. Involved in the 155 millimeter howitzers, the MLRS, multi-launch missiles, and the like, that are going to be key to the prospects for Ukraine to be equipped to reverse some of the modest deterioration that's taken place on the battlefield itself. As we know, the Russians have made some grinding gains in the Donbass, and we've had the issues of delivery times that become, frankly, inordinately important. And without that equipment, without that adequate ammunition, it's very hard for even the most determined, talented Ukrainian military to be able to keep pace with the Russian war machine. And so, Jan, I was wondering if you might just comment briefly, being so intimately involved in helping manage this conflict, not just for the Czech Republic, but for Ukraine itself, who is coordinating so closely with the Czechs and with this government, and Jan in particular, that I thought that it might be interesting to share just some observations as we go into this next critical 30 days as to how you see things unfolding, and very importantly, whether some of our European partners are remaining, again, committed to the fight and understanding of the fact that these timing questions on the advanced weapon systems are as key as they are. I just thought you might be able to comment.
Yes. If I were to paraphrase the famous Bill Clinton slogan from 90s, it would say it's the logistic, stupid, right?
Right.
That's the issue of the current war in Ukraine. And if you have ever been to Ukraine and if you have ever traveled outside Kyiv from point A to point B, you would realize how long distances needs to be covered and how many holes are in roads. It's Ukraine's roads are similar to Swiss cheese. And Russia is quite active in targeting railway system. So for Ukraine to get everything and ammunition, which is quite very heavy, from the border with Poland, which is the place of entry for almost all these kind of deliveries to Eastern Front, it's quite a big task. Even though Russia has the same issue, and it was the logistics which led to stall of the first days of invasion, and Ukrainians were able to defeat Russia in two directions, and we can be witnessing certain progress in Kherson area where Ukrainians are on offensive, but again they are very slow, and they are fighting for every kilometer, and they need quite a lot of ammunition. So, speaking about these deliveries, one thing is to be fast on that. The other thing is to reach a certain degree of steadiness. And the war, in the end of the day, is calculation. It is a calculation, it's equation, and military, army, logistics. They know that very well, and we got into this kind of situation. And the only thing which will lead to Ukraine's success is a clear and strong dedication of West to support Ukraine. And I am lobbying for this clear dedication. The Czech Republic has a very firm position on that. Czech Republic is delivering weapons to Ukraine, not only from the army stocks, but also we have quite significant military industry, which is providing Ukraine with their work and with their products. And we are using those European funds for that. Ukraine has also some funds from friends like the US. So, and our proximity is enabling us to do this work. I see there's a name tag for Tomáš Kopečný. I guess he was there yesterday. Maybe he will come today. So he's one of those guys who stands behind military help for Ukraine. So ask him. He may give you a very good picture. And politically, we need to be raising this issue again. First 2 months of the war, I'm reading Financial Times every day, so it's not important, but there's a front cover. So for 2 months for the first 2 months of the war, the headline was always about war in Ukraine, some development, some military development, those barbarian acts like Bucha massacre and I don't know. And the other day, Elon Musk announced that he will buy Twitter. Then he announced that he won't buy Twitter, right? So the war in Ukraine stopped to be the thing. Number one, it's normal, right? It's normal that there is 100 people dying every day. And in this situation, dedication is the only thing which will lead to our success, because the other option is our fail. So I don't want to be longer than necessary, but this is the answer. And I want to say that in the end of the day, I am quite happy for what the US is doing. I am very happy for what the EU is doing. We have all these debates about sanction packages and if Ukraine will be or won't be given the candidacy status. But in the end of the day, the West is helping Ukraine to survive. The West is helping Ukraine to be part of West, not throwing them aboard. And in the end of the day, we are defending our rule-based order, international rule-based order. Thank you.
Well, we all, I think, wish you and the Czech government especially well in your dedicated efforts to preserve Ukraine's freedoms and territorial integrity at this time of genuine peril. And we really are grateful to the role that you've played and will play, as well as that of the government. And with that, I think we'll conclude this part of the program, let Jan get on to his tasks, and with our deep, again, thanks.